Hi guys. I remember saying that I was going to bring you another little project I'm working on, and this project I've been thinking about for the last year and a half, 2 years, 2 seasons. And the project is a battery disconnect up here in the top lug of the battery on this bike. There's not a lot of room to get the battery cable disconnected without jittering, and it's not a clean disconnect. So what I wanted to do was basically make up something so it was a clean disconnect, and I came up with a couple of things I had to do to get this to work, and one of the things was this block right here. That block is a block designed by me and 3D printed. But anyways, I designed this thing with the room that I had available. The 4 mounting screws in each corner of the block are holes that were already in the metal framework for the battery carrier and behind this cover. And I had to design it around there, took some dimensions, and then I had to make sure everything was tucked in behind. I couldn't tuck it out, or I couldn't leave it out hanging too far in the front there on the left side of where the button head screw is. That's a 1/4 inch, 1/4 I had to kind of tuck everything in because that front cover wraps around the front, and just didn't have a lot of room. So this is a 2007 Bigdog Bulldog. And so what I did was I had a custom battery cable made, and this battery cable is this guy. Make sure I can, yeah, it's this happens to be crimped end, number 4 gauge, 1/4 inch through hole crimps, and it was made by a local audio car place. They crimped it on, and they had to order the ends because of the only 1/4 inch. Because the battery cable bolt, I got to cut this off a little bit. It's a little bit too long, but that's I don't know, maybe 5 millimeter, 6 millimeter, maybe a 6. This down here is a 1/4 So the way this thing fits in here now, I'm not going to hook it on, but it goes up to the battery extender bushing, and then it's got a bit of a service kink in it, and it fits on here like this, and something about like that maybe, I don't know exactly yet. This could have been just a little bit longer, but this cable is so flexible that basically it's like a fresh Twizzler licorice stick. And this thing here basically will just fit right in here like this, and that will bring it down to this battery block. This is made out of 1/4 inch thick, 3/4 wide, whatever length it happened to be, of brass. Here's another piece of brass that basically same stock, with through-hole 1/4 and a 1/4. I gotta maybe buy some star washers for underneath of these guys yet to lock them down. But this is an auxiliary battery ground connection. This one I think goes up to the other side, maybe the EHC. And then there's another one right here. This one here, I was going to bring it off of here, but I did it under this guy because of just the way it has to route. This ground goes up here to the battery. Which is this one here. The battery has been turned a little bit, and I put a Z-bend in the battery bracket and brought it out probably about close to a 1/2 inch offset on the Z. And so what happens is 2 bolts. This one here is bolted in from the back side, and 1/4 flatheads coming in from the back side that bolt this brass down to the battery insulation block. And then this guy will bolt down on top of that with 2 more 1/4 button heads. Probably we'll have to put some kind of a star washer under those 2. I'm not sure yet. but those get bolted down, so this whole block assembly gets bolted down. This is the original battery cable that used to come all the way back here on the starter bolt, all the way back around and up to the battery post. Now what it does is it comes off of here, it does a loop, like comes off and does a loop like this and comes in over to here. That one is the same battery cable, so I only had to have one battery cable made, and cost me $15 to have it made. So this fits onto here and basically gets bolted on. So next time when I want to disconnect the battery, I don't have to struggle around messing with all the connections up here, because I think that was what helped cause my EFI module to blow out, was from constant jiggling and trying to get the cable off and the screw loose and everything else. So now I just take these two out. I can hold it down on there at least to keep the stuff going, and take out the last one and then break the whole thing all at one time, and I got a clean disconnect with no problems. Now this block here, eventually I may have to make this out of Delrin, but I 3D printed it this time. We'll see how it survives. It's not screwed on extremely hard, it's just snug down there so that it takes the slack out with lock nuts on the back side. I think they're number 6 cat head screws on the front. So that's kind of what I did. I had to extend this cable. This cable here, originally the battery or the horn was swung over here. This plugged into the horn right in here like that, and then the ground for the horn went up to the battery post, along with this wire right here was added onto right here, and that's the wire that comes into this part. And this wire here went up into the battery post. So I had the battery cable, I had these two wires going to the battery post. And if you look down at the top of the frame on these bikes, where the frame gets narrowed at the tank, there's not a lot of clearance, especially on these bikes. So it was always a challenge to get this thing off of here. So anyways, I lengthened this out, wrapped it around, came in off of here, wrapped it together down here. So I got a nice bundle for that. This gets tucked underneath, this gets tucked in here, the cable for the battery goes up there, this gets put in here like this. These relays, one's for I think the horn relay in here, and another one is I think for maybe the fuel tank fuel pump. Not exactly sure, but this thing here, which was tucked in here from the factory somehow, this is now going to fit in here like this, and it's going to be tie wrapped through this hole underneath of this part, this bridge, and then essentially just tuck it in there, and then the rest of these wires get cable tied together, and there's a hole up here that I can tie everything to and tuck them back behind the covers. So there's the installation when it's done, and this will be connected over here like this, and it will be all back in shape, ready to go. And if you look over here, you can see the positive terminal and the negative terminal for the battery, and it's just pretty tight. It just isn't a lot of room. And then down in there is my oil filler tube, along with a couple of resettable fuses, I think they are. So anyway, that is the other project I was talking about. Down in here, the Z-bend I put in there for the horn, same mounting hole on the battery case, same hole. Now it looks like a one-piece strap for the battery mount, but it's 2 pieces. Originally that bracket, that strap, was a piece of straight material, but I needed to get the horn out a little bit further to get clearance for those relays to tuck back in here and get strapped down. So anyway, that's what I've got for a project. Have a great riding season, keep safety in sight, and have fun.